everybody, welcome to another episode. I'm Mike Monticello.
I'm Jake Fisher.
And I'm Ryan Pizlakowski.
So this week we're going to talk about, we're kind of going to do sort of like a pickup truck roundup. Yeehaw!
Oh, God.
You know, because pickup and rounding up and
we got
cattle.
you.
Anyway, if you have to explain the joke, it's pretty good. Anyway, so we're going to talk about our 2020 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Turbo Diesel. And what's important about that is the turbo diesel part. So we've seen turbo diesels in the heavy duty trucks. You know, these would be, like a 2500, 3500. And we have seen Ram had what they call an eco diesel in their Ram 1500. But now Chevy and Ford are also coming out with these smaller 6-cylinder turbo diesel engines in these, what we, used to be always called half-ton pickups. And so we just completed testing on the truck. Ryan, what did we find?
Well, I think it's the way to buy this truck.
Yeah.
We found the turbo diesel actually gets considerably better fuel mileage than the gas counterpart. It rides better. It shifts better. It's just a nicer powertrain. It's a fantastic truck. To me, that's the only way you buy that truck.
Yeah.
So
you're okay with the $3,890 price tag that comes with that diesel engine?
It's that much more pleasant to drive. Yeah. I really think so.
And keep in mind, that's almost in a sense a drop in the bucket compared to the almost $10,000 you have to spend if you get a heavy duty truck.
If you went to
diesel option,
exactly.
These diesels are expensive. That's just the way they are.
Let's break it up. I mean, first of all, for the longest time, in order to get the diesel, you need to get the heavy truck.
Right.
And the problem is they are heavy. So, okay, fine, it's a diesel powertrain, which is more fuel efficient, but then you throw in another 1,000 pounds of weight and all the other problems that come with a heavy-duty truck. I mean, they ride terrible, they drive like a dump truck.
Yeah.
And it pretty much eats up any of that fuel savings that you would actually get. We've done tests of that, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, putting these in these light-duty trucks...
It seems to make sense, I think. It makes a lot of sense. Because the big trucks are now... they're built to tow. Right. So they put a ton of power in it. So there goes the fuel economy because the power doesn't come from nowhere for free. So you have to, put these big engines in them, and they make sense for towing and whatnot in those. But these smaller diesels in these trucks make sense because now we're getting the fuel economy. It did considerably better.
It actually, not only does it do better than fuel economy wise than any of the other gas trucks we've tested, but it also did better than the last Ram Eco Diesel we tested as well.
Right.
And we actually did. Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, we actually did some numbers, and there will be more of this on
our website, consumerreports.org.
But the payoff, that extra cost, it pays off in just a couple of years.
Right.
That's how much it was.
And here's the interesting thing about diesels when you come to a truck that's using, I mean, you look at heavy, the large pickup trucks, full-size pickup trucks. I mean, they're often getting 18 miles per gallon. If you could get a couple more numbers in terms of MPG out of those, it's a huge difference. I mean, we're not talking about going from a Prius's 50 miles per gallon to like 30 miles per gallon. Right. We're talking about a lot of fuel use. So it actually has a very quick payoff.
Well, and not only that though, if you just looked at it like drivetrain to drivetrain. This diesel is just so nice to drive. I mean, it has power right off the line.
That's my point earlier. There's no drawback to this.
I actually prefer driving it. I kind of like diesels have, especially good ones, have that kind of lazy nature that keeps you, driving just kind of like slow. But when you want that instant power, it has it. Plus, the transmission's really smooth.
Right.
And it's quiet for a diesel. Other than when it's cold. This is quiet.
This is not your father's diesel,
No, it's not.
So I mean, and I'm thinking about my father had a diesel,
right?
So I grew up and we had. I mean, we're wacky, but like we had a 1979 Peugeot 504 diesel.
Wow.
So I mean, this is like old school diesel.
Tractor engine. Yeah.
But if it's like even if you forget about the French cars, but I mean, if you haven't had a diesel for a while, right? And this was a car like you go and you got to click and you got to wait for the glow plugs. Glow plugs wait a while, and then you start it, and it's rackety, and it's cold. And you put this little sweater thing on the grill to make sure,
to keep it warm.
And it doesn't warm up for like another. So this morning I had our Silverado diesel, and it was 19 degrees this morning, and I just turned it. It started right up.
Yeah.
I got heat, and it was like it drives so nice.
It does. And you were talking about the way it rides. So they made an update. Chevy made an update to the 1500s for 2020 because previously we tested a 2019 gasoline truck, and it rides better because they made some suspension improvements. Yeah. So it's you're getting that with this 2020 as well. So we're seeing all of that, and it's just.
It's a nicer truck. There's no doubt about it.
Anytime I get to drive it, I don't care if I'm doing anything truck related or not. I just like driving it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I towed with it. I towed my boat with it, and that truck has less horsepower than the gas version. Yeah, but it tows better.
Right. It only has power band. It only has 277 horsepower, but it has 460 pound-feet of torque. And of course, torque is what you want. That low-end grunt for towing.
Right. So, but people might look at that at first and be like, "This is like smaller motor. It's a 3 liter. It's not a 5.3, and it doesn't matter. It's a better setup for towing.
All right, flat out works.
I'm going to rain on the parade a little.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. So I mean, the one thing though is while it does use less fuel, which is does save you money, in the long run, pollution. If you're cared about the environment, I mean, keep in mind, even though it's using less fuel, the diesel cycle puts out more CO2 than gas, so you're not necessarily doing much for greenhouse gases. Right. Also, there's other pollution that's coming from diesels that is more than gasoline. So it's not necessarily the green choice. Right. It's kind of the nice truck choice for sure.
It also depends on what the diesel fuel prices are as well compared to gasoline prices. Sometimes they're higher.
It eats up some of the savings, but you still do save money because
So there's some other competitors for this Chevrolet Silverado 1500 turbo diesel. There's a new F-150 turbo diesel coming out. There's a Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. I mean, Jake, is diesels where we're going with these, half-ton pickups down the road?
Well, I think where we're going is we're trying to figure out. Look, we like pickup trucks, right?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. So it's how can we evolve the pickup trucks so they're more fuel efficient and they make more sense in the future? And I think there's a lot of different ways to go. I think these smaller diesels make a whole lot of sense. I mean, the other thing is car-based vehicles, right? The Ridgeline.
The Honda Ridgeline.
The Honda Ridgeline, I think, is a really interesting thing where I think smaller pickup trucks makes a lot of sense.
It fits for a lot of people.
Right. It doesn't have the all-out capability, but then, of these bigger,
some people don't need that,
trucky, but a lot of people don't need that. They don't need to tow 7,000 plus pounds.
I mean, for me, if I'm throwing the snowboards or the bikes in the back, it's
more comfortable. It's better all around. Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to go. And the other interesting thing that we're seeing that's coming out soon is a lot of electric trucks. Right. And electric powertrains are great because there's tons of torque, tons of power. We're seeing what the Rivian is coming out with electric truck. Ford's going to be doing an electric truck.
Tesla Cybertruck.
Tesla Cybertruck.
That thing's wacky looking.
Yeah. Is that a truck?
They're saying it's a pickup.
Well, when I first saw it, because the angle they showed it at and the back is kind of sloped, I didn't realize it was actually had like a pickup bed to it. I thought it was like a big piece of glass back there.
It's crazy futuristic. It's weird. I mean, they say so. It has a stainless steel exoskeleton, similar to an airplane design. They're saying it's going to start under $40,000, and that the top version will be able to tow 14,000 pounds, which is a lot for a pickup.
So I mean, here's the thing about
how long will it be able to tow 14,000 pounds though for?
Well, that's the question.
Well, if it doesn't exist, then let's say 1,000 miles. So no, I mean it's coming. Here's the thing about it is that the electric trucks. I mean, look, diesels are kind of like rough and they're strong and they can tow all the stuff.
For guys that wear flannel shirts.
And electric powertrains have not been kind of in that same Venn diagram,
right.
And what was really interesting with the Tesla Cybertruck is they really were emphasizing how tough this thing is, right? Yeah. I mean, the tug of war with the what was the Ford
smashing
F-150,
side panels,
and that with the sledgehammer, you can't dent it and all that. So they're definitely trying to show how strong it is.
Right.
I do have some concerns about that because some of the things that keep you safe in vehicles is the fact that they crumple.
Right.
So if you actually were driving something that was really, really strong with this exoskeleton of stainless steel,
it just bounces off everything.
Yeah. Your brain doesn't, though. Your brain kind of goes forward.
It's like Mad Max stuff. Yeah.
And the other interesting thing about these electric ones, I mean, Cybertruck, but also some of the other ones, we saw Bollinger they were showing something at the LA Auto Show, is that because they're so heavy, because of all the batteries, they're not even light vehicles anymore.
Right.
So this one company, Bollinger, which is an electric truck, they don't have to comply to a lot of safety standards because they're so heavy and doesn't even have airbags.
Sneaky.
So I'm not saying that the Tesla Cybertruck is going to not comply to them, because I'm sure they will. But it is interesting. They're very heavy, and it'll be interesting to see how does that affect other cars on the road when you have such heavy passenger vehicles now driving around.
Well, so there's a lot going on in the pickup truck segment, and keep it tuned in here. We're gonna follow all of those stories for you. So let's move on to audience questions this week. Don't forget, send your questions, comments, 30-second video clips to TalkingCars@icloud.com. So let's start with the first one. First question is, Rafi says, I'm wondering why really tall modified pickup trucks are allowed on the roads. Aren't they less safe because of their taller bumpers and headlights? If speeding is frowned upon as a safety issue, I would think that modifying one's vehicle and making it less safe should also be illegal. Jake, what do you think about that? Is that seems like a good point. And what is going on with the laws related to pickup trucks?
Well, I mean, honestly, they're kind of all over the map. So it's about your state laws, and some have restrictions on how high you could go. But certainly, if you lift up the vehicle, if you come into contact with other vehicle, I mean, you may be hitting the rear window of a station wagon or a minivan or an SUV rather than actually hitting the bumper.
Well, and they're not going to handle the same.
No, yeah, I mean, it's simple physics. You pick a vehicle up off the ground further, you raise the center of gravity, and also, when you put suspension lift kits and all these things in trucks like that or vehicles like that, it's looser. Everything it's just naturally going to be a little bit looser feeling, and let alone all these big off-road tires and stuff like that. You're affecting how it handles, and there's no doubt about that. Not to say that it's making it terribly unsafe, but it's not going to handle like it did from the factory. I mean, it was designed a certain way for a reason.
Exactly. Think about how much R&D goes into
and then you just completely
and you're completely changing it with basically on your own. You're going to affect the way that truck handles. It's unsafer for the person driving the pickup, that they might have a crash. But the worst thing is if they have an accident because they lost control of the pickup and hit someone else. That's the really terrible thing. So
Sure.
Yeah. So Rafi, thanks for that question. We have another one here from Jonathan. When Consumer Reports test new cars on the track, do the cars have full fuel tanks? Does the extra weight of the fuel have an impact on a car's road test score and how it handles in everyday driving? Ryan, I'll start with you. You're part of our test program. Do we use full gas tanks?
We do.
That one of our precise measurements we do?
Yeah, so before we do any of the tests on the track, we make sure the gas tank's full. Because to answer his question, it can affect handling and whatnot.
And acceleration and braking?
Anything, right. Even more importantly than that, for us, it's consistency.
Right.
Every vehicle we just fill the tank up. So they're all on a level playing field. Even though these vehicles could be different shapes and sizes and hold more or less fuel, that's just the nature of the vehicle. So you fill the tank up, and that's how we run our test.
There could be a minor effect or something if one car was tested with a full fuel tank, another was tested with an eighth of a fuel tank, right?
So we're trying to draw a level playing field. So.
Well, and the other thing is that weight affects just even normal driving, right? I mean, if the car is going to perform differently if you've got just yourself in the car or if you have 5 people in that car, right, Jake?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if we had all the time in the world, we could test the cars in every different combination. But I mean, if you have 4 passengers in it, it's going to change your ride, it's going to change your acceleration, it'll change your handling.
Right.
You got something heavy in the trunk. I mean, there's all different types of iterations. I think what's important is that we just make sure we're fair.
Yeah.
And
to every single car and truck.
If we had an empty tank in one car and filled tank, that would be a problem.
Right.
We want to be we're always trying to be as consistent as possible with everything that we do here as far as our testing.
That's right.
So. All right, good question, Jonathan. Let's move on to Julian from New Jersey. I just finished watching a CR video about the importance of having enough tread on your tires. This sounds like a Ryan question already. I drive about 6,000 miles a year, usually in the suburbs. In these conditions, I still have plenty of tread after 4 years, but I can feel the tire losing some of its grip and responsiveness, especially in cold conditions. How does Consumer Reports account for this in their testing? Is there a technique to simulate older tires? Ryan, we've talked about it before, but you're one of our tire testers extraordinaire. So do you have an answer here for Julian?
Yeah, so in our tire testing, we've done some what we called tread loss or worn tire testing, where we actually shave tires down, but that's simulating, as your tires wear, you lose the tread,
right?
Which was some of probably what he saw in that video. But there's another effect that happens with tires as they wear is they age. The rubber can dry out a little bit, oxidize. There's a lot of things that are happening just in.
So the compound's not going to work as well over time.
Yeah. So in 4 years, 4 years seems like a short amount of time. Some vehicle manufacturers say you should replace your tires after 6 years, regardless of tread, just because they are starting to dry out. The compound's changing a little bit. Some tire manufacturers say about 10 years, actually.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
a pretty long
quite
time.
a long time. But to his point, 6,000 miles in 4 years, he's got maybe 24,000 miles on those tires. Depending on the type of tires, those could be a quarter, maybe even half worn.
Right.
So now the tread is actually changing. So that's why he's feeling some of those, loss of grip or whatnot.
Could it also be it's mentioned mostly in cold conditions. Could it be that, if it's an all-season tire, it might not be performing as well as a winter tire is going to do better with that softer compound in really cold temperatures? It could be as simple as that even.
Right, in winter conditions. But so it's, you got to pay attention to your tires. Right. Make sure the tread's good. They're not too old. Always buy 4 new tires, the freshest tires you can find at a time.
Yeah.
And,
okay. I'm impressed by him, like feeling the differences and the nuances.
Yeah, so so depending on the tires you bought, you're your own tester. If you start to feel these things, you don't have confidence anymore. Maybe it's time to buy new tires, even if they're not worn out completely.
Right. Well, my compliments to him to be able to feel those
paying
nuances.
attention.
Because a lot of people, they'll drive a car with a flat tire. And really
they don't even know it. Right.
So it's really good to be
diligent
in tune
about
with your car. And the truth is that when they're brand new, when I used to. When I was racing my MR2 all the time, the guys who were winning the races, they were putting a fresh set of tires on every race.
Right. It matters.
It's expensive.
It got really expensive, but I wasn't doing that, believe me. But every race, because you got that fresh rubber.
Right. It matters.
A little bit better.
All right, Julian, keep in touch. We might be reaching out to you if we need another tire tester down the road. Let's move on to Steve from New Zealand. Wow. Steve says, I'm moving back to the U.S. soon, and I'm considering buying an old Prius, a Toyota Prius, with fuel costs being important to me. EPA estimates for mileage for a 2012 Prius are 51 city, 48 highway, and 50 combined. CR's testing found 32 city, 55 highway, and 44 combined. That's a big discrepancy. Help me understand why your real-world testing conditions would make that much of a difference. Jake, we're talking about a third-generation Prius here. Mm-hmm. Can you explain this difference here between what our fuel mileage was and what the EPA was saying at the time?
Well, first of all, let me say that this Prius is going to get really good fuel economy, whether or not you look at our numbers or EPA numbers or whatever. Still, it's very good, and the differences are kind of nuanced. Because when you get to that high amount of fuel economy, small percentages are big swings. Our fuel economy regimen is very different from the EPA regimen. Let's just lay that out. Our highway, I'm going to do the air quotes here, is really just steady 65 miles per hour. That's what we're doing. Right. Steady 65 miles per hour. Realistically, if you're driving highway, you're not going to get quite that good, right? Because you're going to be fluctuating. You have an on-ramp, whatever. If our city is a simulated city traffic loop that we do, the city on the EPA is very gentle. So, especially with a hybrid,
gentle on the throttle, you mean?
Very gentle on the throttle. So, if you drive your Prius, your hybrid, very, very gently, you could stay on that electric a lot more. You don't pop on the engine as much. So, it really, really makes some of these hybrids look incredibly good in the city. But if you're in a city, sometimes you got to get on it. It turns green, you're going to be honked if you go with that gentle acceleration. I think the way to look at it, though, is look at the final number. I'll stand by the 44 that we got. If you drive it normally, it's probably about what you're going to see. You could get 50 if you drive more gently. So, it's still good.
Right. Yeah. And we do our test the way we do it because we're trying to have it be as close to as real world as we thought we could make it. And that's why we do it that way.
Yeah, we think, look, in terms of the city traffic, people sometimes do have to get on the throttle a bit, That's what you do.
Cool. Right. All right, great question. That's going to do it for this episode. If you want to learn more about the cars and the topics we talked about, you can click on the links in the show notes. Don't forget to send those 30-second video clips, questions, comments to TalkingCars@iCloud.com. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week.